Hello everyone and welcome to ICM's midday session. So in the morning we had a couple of economic indicators coming out, but still the main trade, the consensus trade is still going on. The dollar is still weakening against other major currencies. So first we had the German services PMI, which came out better than the previous reading, but lower than expected. And this was the case for also the Eurozone PMI, which came in at 46.4 versus expectations of 47.3, but better than the previous reading of 41.7. Also from the United Kingdom, close to the 50 threshold, 49.4, worse than expected 49.9, but better than 47.6. So this is just giving us a signal that the economic activity recovered slightly in December relative to November, and this is just supporting the risk sentiment in the market. So ahead of the US session, we have the ADP non-farm employment change. It's one of the good figures that investors do look at it to know or to get some hints on the official numbers that will come out on Friday. Also, we have the crude oil inventories by US Energy Information Administration for oil traders and the minutes of the last monetary policy meeting, the FOMC. So for oil, the OPEC yesterday, Saudi surprised most of the producers and announced the voluntary output cuts by 1 million. This just boosted the market, and we saw oil rallying more than 5% yesterday. Crude and Brent, we're going to talk about the WTI in a while. So now let's start with the euro dollar, which is rising towards its highest level since April 2014. And we're still on the bigger picture, we're still inside this channel. Yesterday we highlighted the top of the channel as 2365. We're just getting closer to the top of the channel, but still we are stuck in. Today's top of the channel is almost near 2390. So this is what we're getting closer to now. We can also, if you're trading smaller time frames, you can just draw this trend line combining these previous bottoms and just also highlight another trend line, so you can see here how the market rejected exactly from the top. So if you go to the 15 minutes chart, it's clear this channel that we are currently trading at 1, 2, 3, and we got some rejection on the fourth. So this is a small channel and a bigger channel. It's clearer in this picture, so you can trade the levels of these channels. So at the top here, almost 2360 could be 2350 could be possible minor resistance, and coming resistance at the top of the bigger channel at almost 2390, while any break back below the first channel or drawing back below 2270 is just a bit bearish, which could add the chances of bigger correction dropping towards 122. The British pound against the United States dollar is stronger on the day, but still softer than other pairs. So we can just highlight the 37 top as target for traders, and 35 we're stuck in this range. Yesterday we highlighted the top of this one, and we highlighted a smaller range and a bigger range, and we stated that the break could just get us into a directional trade. However, we're still not witnessing a strong momentum in this trade. We're just waiting sideways up trading, and it's clearer on the 15 minutes. You can see the sideways up trading, as we know that the United Kingdom is suffering with the COVID-19 spread. So be careful by trading the British pound. Moving back below 3610 could just be bearish again. We could be falling towards 3540 again. Moving to the dollar against the Japanese yen, nothing much is happening on this pair. We felt the pair fell towards almost 102.55. However, bounced back higher towards 102.80. You can just draw a trend line combining the previous tops, and the break above the trend line could just lead to a bigger correction on this fall. So you can just draw either the Fibonacci retracements from the top to the bottom and just spec some of the targets. Could be 61.8 near 103.40 as a minor the minor resistance ahead of 103.90 that we talked about. Well, in terms of target falling, we're still seeing 102.20 as positive level ahead of the 101 target. The US dollar against the Swiss franc also was weakening. The Swiss franc was strengthening across the board. It's one of the top performers recently. So you can also just draw the tops by a trend line. And also you can just highlight these bottoms here. So this is what we're getting closer to. Every time we're just getting closer to the trend line, we're just getting a rebound. However, it's still the downtrend line. It's still valid as long as we are below the previous bottom of 88.20. So we need to move back above 88.20 in order to have some positivity and maybe go for a bigger correction. As long as we're below it, we could be facing further downside. The Australian dollar against the United States dollar crossed the 78 target that we highlighted yesterday, and it's still moving to the upside. So if we go just to the weekly chart back then, you can see that we're close to the top here, which was a key level previously. So you can just highlight it. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see how many times this level, almost 78.40, was key level. So watch out for possible resistance coming into this zone. On the smaller time frames, you can see just a series of higher highs. We definitely need to just fall back below 77.40 for a bearish scenario. As long as we're above it, possible further upside is just possible for the Australian dollar against the United States dollar. The New Zealand dollar, similar story, just crossing 73 levels. So if you just go back with the weekly chart, so you can just highlight these previous tops here as possible targets on the long run: 73.90, 74.40 possible resistance zones. While we need to definitely move back below 72.50 in terms to just have a little bit of a bearish outlook, or just raise the chances of a bigger correction on the pair. As long as we're above it and this trend line is still valid, the uptrend is still valid. The US dollar against the Canadian dollar, further downside, further weakening for the dollar. So we can just, yesterday we highlighted this trend line, and then the market exactly retraced to the top, and then fell immediately from the stop. So you can just go back to the weekly chart and just highlight the previous bottom. So this is just a possible next bottom, 25.30 for the US dollar against the Canadian dollar. This is a key possible key level. Any move back above 26.90, 26.70 area could just weaken a little bit the downtrend, and we could start to focus on the trend line that we just drew. You can also do for possible targets, you can just draw this trend line here, move a lower trend line, and you can see that we're trading inside the channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and currently we are at this channel. Moving to gold, which is also strong, breaking above yesterday's high, trading almost near 1960 previous stops. If you just go back to the daily chart, you can see that we're approaching a key area here near 1965, which could just be filled with some selling pressure. On the hourly chart, we definitely need to move back below 1940 in order to have a chance for a correction for this full run. As long as we're above it, the uptrend is still valid and is still continuing. You can just go for, as we highlighted yesterday, you can just draw this trend line and go for possible targets by drawing this the parallel line based on the previous stop. So it's either this one or this one. So by drawing these two channels, two different top lines, you can just have a range where we could be trading in for our next days. Silver, similar story, just strengthening across against the US dollar. You can just highlight the previous top, almost 28.40, 28.80 as possible target, possible resistance zone. And for reversal, definitely we need to move back below 27.20 for a bigger correction or reversal. As long as we're above it, it's just the uptrend is still valid. You can just also draw a trend line combining these previous bottoms away for any break back below the trend line for a possible trend violation. The WTI, it's still on the positive side, strengthening, especially after Saudi's surprise yesterday. So you can just highlight this possible channel that we're currently trading at. Let's dissect smaller the price action. We had this rally, and then we had the smaller consolidation area here that we are trading currently above it. So if we dip back below 49.70, it's bearish for oil, and we could be moving lower towards the bottom of the channel. As long as we're above it, we could be continuing to further upside, and maybe even breaking above the top of this channel, where you can just draw the clear tops, the previous clear tops, as possible targets somewhere near 51.30 for the WTI. Moving to the Dow Jones, which is recovering from the previous declines. So yesterday we highlighted this area here, 30,300, 30,350 as key area, and currently we are trading above it. So this is just bullish. Moving back below it could just lead to a correction back towards 29,800, and as long as we're above it, the first target 30,600 and then 30,800. We're still waiting some insights on the Georgia election, which could be a mover for US stock indices. This is all for today's session. I'd like to remind you that all the information, news, analysis, and opinions mentioned in this session, they're only for educational purposes and shouldn't be taken as a signal whether to buy or to sell any financial instrument, and ICM doesn't provide any investment advice. This is all for now. Wish you safe trading and thank you all for joining.